And I learned the hard way. I doubled my capital and then lost everything because of greed. And then did it again and did it again.
And the balance of that was pretty bad.
We don't know how to work everything out, but we're gonna start.
But I've never had the confidence.
One of the things that has tripped me up in the past is I think I need to be an expert.
Shut it down straight away. But I've still got this idea at the back of my head.
If you're listening and you feel stuck, here's the truth. Stop chasing quick money. Pick an idea, carve away the time consistently, and commit to it. That's how you're going to build something alongside work and family.
5 quick things to think about that you can take away from this. And the first one of those is...
Yeah, it's exciting.
I'm Liam, that's Ash, and this is Between Mates.
Between mates, between loves, between questions we don't ask. From the big to the small, we're covering it all, just two.
So then, Ash, what is your past experience with side hustles? Previous to this.
So why don't I start at the beginning? I remember sitting with my cousin in his bedroom. I must have been like 7 or 8, and I was coming up. We were the idea. I can't remember whether this his or was mine, but we thought it would be a really good idea to draw smiley faces, cut them out, and sell them for 50 cents on the street. And we thought this is just going to be sell like lemonade, and we just thought this is how we're going to make money. This is how we're going to start our millionaire dream. That didn't happen at all. But I think over the course of my life, I've always found this, or had this urge to want to start something, to want to grow something and build something. And I think initially it was building my skills. So I dived into my career and tried to understand as many skills as I could around IT. And then in the recent years, probably in the last 10 years, then I've been starting to go, okay, what can I do outside of work? Or how can I use the time at the edges to create something? And I've tried multiple things. At one point, I've tried coaching people to see if that's something that I'd be really interested in. I've tried helping one of my friends, actually 2 of my friends, one in New Zealand and one here, create startups, one in IT and one in software. Last year, I tried to use ChatGPT in various different ways. One of those more successful ways, which I talked about in the introduction, was to building trading robot, which was successful until it wasn't.
Until that greed got in the way.
Until the greed gets in the way. And a lot of it has been a balance. I think balancing work, which is quite demanding, obviously getting married and spending time with my wife, traveling. I love to read, so then lots of other distractions may not be the right word, but just staying focused can be quite difficult. How about you? What have you tried?
Yeah, so I think I started a little bit older than you, but still when I was young, right? So I used to do extra bits for my dad. He used to have a workshop, so I used to help out there. And, it was one summer was paint the whole building, I'll give you 20 quid. And it was Pebble Dash building, so I'm painting it with just a paintbrush, and it took a whole week to get around this building. But whilst I was doing that, I was also trying to take on extra jobs. So I worked in a pub, pot washing, I had a paper round. In fact, I had a paper round and worked in 2 pubs and helped down the workshop as well, kind of at the same time. Because I was right, okay, I'm going to bring that money in. I was probably the richest 13-year-old I knew, which was great. And thinking about that balance piece is really interesting because, when I was 13, there wasn't any balance, right? It was just do as much as I can. I had no, outside of getting my schoolwork done or whatever, there was no responsibilities. And then skip forward to now, obviously. And I've always been a bit scared, I think, in recent history to start something on the side. Or certainly something a bit like this, but the podcast or trying to develop a product. I've had lots of ideas in my head, but trying to actually start it knowing that I've got a family to support and time to spend with them, I've always really struggled with. And my, I guess, most successful side hustle isn't what most people would think about as a side hustle. Because I wasn't building anything, right? I just went and got a job working for Domino's, delivering pizzas on a night time. And the balance of that was pretty bad, right?
Bad in
Because
terms of like the home and work.
yeah, it was when my wife was pregnant with our well, she was pregnant, and unfortunately during that time we had a miscarriage as well, which was a lot because I wasn't just balancing home life. We had loads of renovation work to do in the house. I was balancing the two jobs. There was a lot of extra pressure on my wife with our first son. Obviously, we were going through a difficult time, and we did that out of necessity, I think. But getting that balance right, the balance wasn't really there. And, you know, we discussed it, I think, before we started this podcast about the time that we're willing to put into this, the time that we're able to put into this to make sure that it's sustainable. So, yeah, some good and difficult moments with side hustles, or in that case, more of a side income than a, you know, going out and building something, which I think is what most people think of as a side hustle.
I think they do. I think a lot of side hustles is kind of like this big thing that you need to, but you know, I think there is even being able to create the product that you, or the idea, you need some sort of investment, or be able to buy the materials and build something if it's something physical.
Yeah.
But being able to go do something on the side to earn a little bit of extra cash in order to like pump it into something it's also towards that dream that you're trying to create, right? It's our primary income can do so much, but that's the primary focus of our primary income, is to like make sure we can pay for the house and the food on the table and you know, and that sort of thing, versus the how is it making more.
And that spare cash element, as well as a spare time element, I think has been what stopped me in the past. So I've still got loads of ideas. I've got when I was at university, we had one of our segments of our course that you had to keep a logbook. So you did all your sketches in there, all your notes and everything, and I've kind of kept that up. Even though I'm not in engineering anymore, I still keep that with all my personal ideas, and I can look back and I've had this idea of a nappy bag for the last 4 years, right? I go, because I date everything, I sign everything. We're told, look, it's a legal document. You can, if someone tries to copy you can go back, look, it was mine. Side conversation, I guess. But I've had this idea for like more than 4 years of a nappy bag that really worked for me. But I've never had the confidence and the feeling that I can take, you know, maybe only a couple of £100 and invest it in some materials to try it. So regardless of whether that's strictly true or not, it's how I felt, and therefore I just haven't started. I've just gone, you know what, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I can't do that, I've got other things to worry about, shut it down straight away. But I've still got this idea at the back of my head.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I find quite admirable about some of my friends that have started things, especially one couple that I can think of specifically, is that when they have an idea, and recently they've invested in going to a business course to actually learn how to take an idea and then make it into reality, because the biggest thing that they need to get over is the fear of starting, or the fear of it not working out, or not knowing everything, and and those sort of things. And I think the thing that the course taught them, and what I've seen them to go on to do, is that when they've had an idea and they're like, you know what, we're going to build this retreat business, and we don't know how to work everything out, but we're gonna start. And once they started, they worked out, okay, well, this is what we think the retreat's going to be. It's going to be centered around health and wellness. And then
Well,
they started,
hopefully it's a wealth for them.
possibly, yeah. Because they want to, those are the two things that they were super passionate about, right? And so then they can go, okay, well, if we want to impart this to the world, then who can we partner with in order to make that a reality? Because we're not an expert in yoga and massage and meditation and so on and so forth, right? So who can we partner with to make this thing and become the conduit to make that a reality? And I think one of the things that has tripped me up in the past is I think I need to be an expert, or I need to know everything, and I need to know how to do my accounts, but I need to know how to set up a business, how to set up a limited liability company, and so on and so forth. But actually, you need to be resourceful. That's the most crucial thing, and being able to start and be resourceful is, I guess, the most crucial to getting to you to succeed and be consistent.
I think also something I'm not hearing there is, and what I'm seeing with us, like obviously we're doing this podcast, this is a side hustle. We're hoping to build it up and, be successful with it. And I think what's helped me and what I'm hearing there is that trying to do it all on your own is going to be super difficult. Not impossible, but really, really difficult. And I think back to my wife, and she ran a photography business. She was doing wedding photography. And as a couple, we looked at it and said, look, because she was doing care work alongside trying to build a business and was really struggling to juggle it all. So we looked at it and said, you know what? My income is enough. Take a year out from everything but photography and focus on building your business. So it's not that if she tried to do that on her own, it would be impossible. But having that discussion with your partner, if you have one, or people around you, to work out how you can make this easier. So how can someone else try and give you the space? Yeah. Or even now, still we're doing this podcast, like my wife still has to give me the space. We still have to discuss, if I'm going to record at this time, I need her to take the kids. So the kids aren't running in and out. So it still takes that discussion and understanding between people. And what's making this different for me this time is us doing this together. So I have somebody who's not myself to let down if I don't get something done. I think it's so easy, especially for me, and I suspect it is for other people, to let yourself down. To know, I kind of need to do that editing tonight, or we need to record tonight, or whatever it is. I'm going, you know what? I'm tired. I really want to read. Whatever it is, I'll do it tomorrow. But knowing that I'm going to let you down if I don't do that, that is a much bigger motivator, I think, for me at least, coming around this time around.
I think it's the same. I think, I think I've had that in the past. So, for example, last year, I spent a lot of time helping my friend with his startup, with the notion that we're trying to get funding, and we were also doing an RFP at the time, and there was a lot of things going on, and I was super passionate about it, right? And then some life things happened, and it didn't pan out. But I think but what I take away from that is the strength of being able to lean on each other, like especially in stressful times and when you need that support. It's different when I go talk to my wife or you go and talk to yours. It's a different leaning, if that makes sense. Being able to have a business partner or a friend that you can lean on, that's in it with you. I feel like it is different, and that taking the train up last night to Newcastle, and me prepping for this podcast is me living up to my commitment that I've made to you that we're going to do this and we're going to do it properly. And it feels good.
Yeah, I definitely think having, and don't be wrong, like this might not work for you listening. It might be a completely different circumstance, but if you can bring someone along with you, one, it probably means that you've been able to convince someone that this is a good idea doing.
That's a great idea, yeah.
Right? Which, if you can convince someone, hopefully you convince lots of people. But you just have that, it helps in so many ways. It helps with that motivation piece. I think it helps with that, having someone else excited because they're in it too. I know the other day when we were looking at the stats in the back of YouTube, we're going, oh, we've just hit, I think it was like 15 hours of watch hours, or one of our shorts had done really well. And it was someone to be excited with because they're also equally as invested in it. And I think if you're trying to do it on your own and you don't have that excitement, those moments to share with somebody, is going to be even more difficult because there's going to be difficult moments. And you need that excitement to offset it, especially early days when you're probably not making money at it. You're probably even just throwing money at it. It might be costing you money and time and everything else. Yeah.
It's funny because it reminds me of like working out, because that discipline of like going to your first workout, coming back the next day, especially when DOMS sets in and your muscles are getting sore and you're like, oh, I really want to go back? But then you go back anyway and you feel better once you're back. And you get excited once you're being able to lift a little bit more the next time, and then it starts compounding. That's really similar to this. Like each time we record, I have more fun. And I don't know whether it's because the topics we're moving into, or because it feels a bit more natural, or our dynamic is changing, or we're better prepped. Like it's probably a combination of everything, right? But it's it's exciting.
Yeah, it is. I think I wanted to leave people with something like a takeaway in this episode. And I was thinking, we kind of discussed this beforehand about what is our experience of our side hustles that have either not worked or we never started, and what's working for us now and what we're trying to do today, and trying to pull out sort of 5 quick things to think about that you can take away from this. And one of those the first one of those is just to start today. We talked about this for a little while. We went, let's just record, right? We found the software. We use Riverside for this. If anyone's interested, we found that meant right. Okay, let's they have a free trial. Let's do it. Let's just record and see if we enjoy recording. And that's given us then the motivation to keep going. It also taught us that if we'd have hated it, we could have stopped and not considered thinking about it. So I think that's the first one, is kind of just start today. The second one was that starting with somebody else, which you've already discussed. I think it's just going to be easier to keep that motivation going.
The next one, we were going to talk about like do something you're willing to do without expecting anything in return. Like I think the reason why this works for us is because even before we started podcasting these conversations, we were already having these conversations.
Yeah.
And so I think naturally now recording them, sure, there's a little bit of nerves on the first 3 episodes. We're starting to get a little bit more like free flowing, and it feels like, for me, this feels just like I'm having a conversation with a mate. Yeah. And I think if it's something that you're willing to do without anything coming back to you, then, and you're consistent at it, eventually the things that you want out of it will come. It just comes back to that discipline and consistency.
Yeah, and not having the expectation to get anything back straight away.
Yeah.
So, make sure it's something you're happy to do, because it might take a long time before you see the reward that you're hoping to see, I think.
I think so. And I think I remember I think the next one around pivot is around pivoting. Be ready to pivot. Don't necessarily put 2 feet in one thing. Or if you do, know that potentially you're going to need to pivot along the way, and the path is not always going to be like a straight path. I think last year my learning from building the trading robot was that I ended up building 4 or 5 of them and many different versions of them, in order to kind of work out, well, how does the market move and all of those things. And it took time and work and understanding how to code again. And I think a lot of it is can be quite, you go in with a mindset and then you go, oh, I'm being tested, and you need to be as fluid as you can when you're going through that.
Yeah, and just like listen to feedback, either other people's or even just your internal. This doesn't quite feel right. I think I need to switch it up. Because that's a really good, teller to what, maybe this isn't quite for me, and that pivot piece and that start today piece, I think, tie together with start it today. And then if you find out it's not quite for me, you can still pivot slightly to the right or to the left and go, I was going to do coaching for, people's careers, but that wasn't quite for me, but I really enjoy coaching people on their health journey. Right. So I've just taken a little pivot to the side. It's not quite where I started out, but because I had that learning to be able to pivot.
Yeah.
And
That's true.
that last point of the 5 that we had, and I touched on it earlier, is to have the discussion with your partner, with your close friends and family, to say, look, I'm going to start this, because if you're serious about it, it's going to eat up your time. So you might have to say no to some things, whether that's a date night, whether that's, a friend's get together or something. There might be things that you have to say, do you know what? I'm prioritizing this for me. And I might have to say no to some things. And if they care about you, then hopefully they'll understand, as long as you don't, treat them like crap and and don't give them any time. But, things might have to change for you to make space to do this. And you have to have that discussion up front, I think, and set those expectations to say, do you know what? We normally spend 5 nights a week together. I want to take 3 of those nights to work on this thing. So we're still going to have, Wednesday night and Friday night. At least you're on the same page then, and it doesn't become an argument later on.
Yeah.
And if you want to have that difficult conversation, then go back to episode 3, I think it is, and listen to about
3, yeah.
listen to how to have those difficult conversations. So,
Yeah.
And a little bonus tip actually is to try and take your pride out of this, because you might be really successful in what you do today, but remember that you could be starting out in something completely new, and you might need to, for instance, take on some free work, or maybe go and train under somebody else. So I think about myself. I thought that wedding videography might be something for me to do. My wife was doing wedding photography, and I thought I could maybe jump into this space, because I'd filmed her a couple of times for internal promotion stuff. But I went to one of her weddings. She asked her bride and said, are you happy that my husband comes along? He'll do the videography, won't charge you anything. And I did it, and I learned so much from doing it, because I was able to jump into a proper wedding and without the pressure of these people are paying for this. They're not really expecting anything. They haven't hired a professional. I learned so much, and they ended up paying me like 400 quid, because when I delivered them the video, they were so happy with what I'd done for them. They paid me. So, but I went in and did that for free for the learning experience. I didn't try and go, oh, do you know what? I'm now a videographer. You need to pay me £1,000 or £2,000. So have a little bit of, be a little humble, I guess, and try and take your pride out of it. Yeah.
Opportunities appear at any moment.
Yeah. And I wanted to actually leave people with a little challenge. So if you've listened to this far and you're maybe at the early stage of a side hustle, or you haven't started yet but you want to, I want you to comment, because I want you to have the accountability. So I want you to comment with what action you're going to take in the next 2 days, and 2 days after your comment, we'll come back and check in with you. Have you done that thing? We talked earlier about how having someone else there to keep you accountable can be a really powerful thing. So if you don't have somebody, we can be that somebody for you.
Yeah, we can. We'll see you in the comments.
Yeah. So get to it, and we'll see you for the next episode. Take care.
Catch you next time.
Between mates, between loves, between questions we don't ask. From the big to the small, we're covering it all. Just two voices in the cracks. Pull up a chair, leaning close. Here's to the chats we love the most. Between mates, between friends, it's a show that never ends.